Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Parsha. As I'm sure you recall, we are currently in the middle of reading the fourth book of Chumash, the book of Bamidbar. Bamidbar means in the desert, and for the whole book of Bamidbar, the Jewish people are traveling in the desert on our way from Egypt, where we left at the end of the book of Shemot, to our home of Israel. This week's Parsha is called beha'alotcha, which means when you raise up. And it is called that because at the start of the Parsha, Hashem tells Moshe, Hey Moshe, tell Aharon, beha'alotcha, when you raise up the candles to light the menorah in the Mishkan, here is how you are going to do it. So he gives him instructions for Aharon for when he beha'alotcha, for when he raises up the lights for the menorah, and they prepare the Leviim to do their work helping in the Mishkan. And it's a good thing we're getting all this stuff ready because it is now time, the start of the Parsha, for Pesach. And this is super exciting because this is the first Pesach ever. It is exactly 1 year since we left Egypt. This is the very first time that the Jewish people are celebrating the holiday Pesach, remembering when we left Egypt. But there's a problem because there are some people who had just been burying a dead body. It's a mitzvah. As soon as somebody passes away, we try to bury them as soon as possible. And the problem is, as we learned back in the book of Vayikra, if somebody is touching a dead body, such as to bury it, they are not allowed to go into the Mishkan until they've had some time and washed off. So these guys, they were burying a dead body. They can't go into the Mishkan in time to offer the Korban Pesach, the sacrifice for Pesach that was done to celebrate Pesach back when we had a Mishkan or a Beit HaMikdash. And these guys go to Moshe and they're like, hey, Moshe, here's our problem. We were burying a dead body. We were fulfilling a mitzvah. It's a mitzvah to bury a dead body when they pass away. And now that means that we can't celebrate Pesach. That's not fair. It's not our fault. We were doing the right thing. And Moshe says, you make a good point. Let me ask Hashem about that. So Moshe asks Hashem, and Hashem says, yeah, they're right. That would be totally unfair if they had to miss out on Pesach just because they were doing the mitzvah of burying the dead. So Hashem says, we have a compromise. They will get a do-over. Next month, the second month after Pesach, in the month of Iyar, on the same day, on the 14th day, there is Pesach Sheni, second Pesach, do-over Pesach. Just like, if you miss a test, you're sick that day, maybe your teacher will give you a makeup test to it's not the same test, but it'll show that you know your stuff. They get a makeup test for Pesach. And Pesach Sheni is only for people who were either burying a dead body on right before Pesach, so they weren't pure to go to the Mishkan to sacrifice the Korban Pesach, or people who were traveling so far away out of the country that they were not able to get back to the Mishkan in time for Pesach. If those people can have a do-over on Pesach Sheni, if somebody skips Pesach because they didn't feel like doing it, they skipped it on purpose, sorry, tough luck. You shouldn't have done that. No do-over. But if it's not their fault and they can't get back to the Mishkan in time, then they get Pesach Sheni. Now, everything's set up. We've got Pesach Sheni, no problem. And Hashem tells Moshe to make 2 trumpets out of silver. And Moshe makes 2 silver trumpets, and Hashem teaches Moshe different notes to play on the trumpets for different purposes. Like there's a note for it's a holiday, and another note for it's Rosh Chodesh, and another note for okay, we're traveling now. And also to show people we're traveling, Hashem put a cloud over the top of the Mishkan. And while we stay in one place, the cloud stays right on top of the Mishkan. And when it's time to travel, the cloud lifts up above the Mishkan into the sky. And then Moshe will blow the trumpet. And then we'll all get traveling. And we've got the Aron Kodesh going in front, the Aron Kodesh that has the Torah inside. And everyone else follows the Aron Kodesh around through the desert. So now we're traveling in the desert, following the Aron Kodesh. When people start to whine and complain, and they're like, ooh, ooh, and Hashem does not like the sound of their whining one bit. So Hashem punishes the whining people with fire. And they don't like the fire. And they say, Moshe, we're sorry for whining. Please pray to Hashem and make the fire go away. So Moshe prays to Hashem and the fire stops. And that place is named Tav Ra, which means burning, because that's what the fire did. And then they continue traveling through the desert, and people start to complain again. And this time they're like, I'm hungry. I'm so hungry. Now, wait a second. We learned a whole bunch of parshas ago back in the book of Shemot that while the people were traveling in the desert, They had food to eat because Hashem gave people magic food from the sky called mun that fell down every morning and tasted delicious. So what gives? Why are they hungry? And they're like, yeah, we have mun, but mun is boring and bad and stupid. We want different food. Back in Egypt, we had such good food. Back in Egypt, we had nice fruits and veggies, and we had free fish. The fish was free. And they're like, now we want meat. We want meat. Give us meat. Give us meat. We want meat. We want meat. And all night long, the people are crying and bawling, and they're crying, we want meat. We want meat. And Moshe goes to Hashem. Moshe's like, Hashem, I am not their mom. I am not their nanny. So why do I have to look after all these people like they're a bunch of babies? They are crying and screaming to me that they want meat. Well, I don't have meat to give them, Hashem. Where am I supposed to get meat for all these whiny complainers? I don't know how to deal with them. They are driving me out of my mind. Hashem says, Hashem, I cannot handle all these people all by myself. They are too much for me. They are too difficult for me. If you want me to keep handling all these people all by myself, you might as well just kill me now, Hashem, because that's what's going to happen. They're going to be the death of me. And Hashem says, okay, Moshe, it sounds like there are two problems at play here. Problem number one is you say you can't handle all these people all by yourself. It's true, there's a lot of them. That's a reasonable complaint. I have a solution. Your solution is you are going to choose 70 people who are good leaders that people respect. You will invite them over to the Mishkan, and I will make those 70 people into Nevi'im. So they will also be able to get messages from Hashem, and they can help you lead the people. You will not be alone. Problem number two, Hashem says, is you say the people want meat. I have a solution for that too. I will give them meat. Tell the people that they're going to get meat from Hashem, and tell them I'm not just going to give them meat for 1 day or 2 days, not even for 5 days or 10 days. They are going to get meat for a whole month, Hashem says. I'm going to give them meat until meat is coming out of their nostrils. I'm going to give them meat until they are sick and disgusted with meat. And Moshe's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Hashem, hang on here. Do you have any idea how many people there are? There are 600,000 of just the men, and then double that to add the women and then the kids. Moshe's like, there is not enough meat in the entire world to give all these people meat 3 meals a day for a whole month. And Hashem's like, oh, I'm sorry, Moshe. Did I just hear you say that something's not possible for Hashem? Is anything impossible for Hashem? Nothing's impossible for Hashem. Hashem can do anything. Hashem says, Moshe, you do your job and I'll do mine, and you'll see, I'll get them their meat. So Moshe chooses and invites his 70 people to the Mishkan, and the people gather at the Mishkan. Hashem makes them all into Nevi'im to help Moshe be leaders. But there's a problem, because 2 of the guys on Moshe's list of 70 leaders didn't show up to the Mishkan. Maybe they didn't get the memo, or they were tired that day, or they got lost on the way. They're moving slowly. They didn't make it to the Mishkan. They're just like hanging out in the camp. And all of a sudden, Hashem made them into Nevi'im, and they're like, Hashem says this, Hashem says that. And somebody runs over to Moshe, and he's like, Moshe, these 2 guys, Eldad and Medad, are acting like they're Nevi'im. It's like they're trying to steal your job. And Moshe's personal assistant, Yoshua, is like, Moshe, lock them up. We got to put them in jail right away. And Moshe's like, are you kidding me? Are you like mad that they're taking my job? Because I'm not mad, Moshe says. I am super happy about this. I wish that all the Jewish people would be Nevi'im. It would make my job a whole lot easier. I'm very happy about this turn of events. So that's not a problem. And now for the other solution. Hashem brings a wind blowing in, and the wind blows in a whole bunch of quail birds. If you're not familiar with quail, think like fat chickens. And the quails get deposited all around. And to get an idea of how much quail there is, you would have to walk for a full day in any direction to get to the edge of where the quails are. And they are 2 amot high over the ground, which is like a little bit more than 2 feet high of like piled up quails everywhere. And then people go to gather their quails. So everyone will be like, this is my horde of meat, and that's your meat. And it takes them 2 full days and a night to gather up all the quail. And when they're done gathering, every single person has, at bare minimum, 10 piles of quail. And the people start to eat their meat, and they're not even done chewing when Hashem punishes the whiny complainers and they die while eating their meat. And that place is called Kivrot HaTa'ava, which means graves of the craving, because that's where they buried the people who got punished for having their whiny, complainy craving for meat. And then people keep traveling on through the desert. And we're traveling, and then Moshe's sister Miriam starts gossiping about Moshe with their brother Aharon. And they talk about Moshe's personal life and his family. And then they're like, Moshe thinks he's so special. Moshe acts like he thinks he's better than everyone else, but he's not better than everyone else. It's not special that Moshe's a Navi, big deal. He talks to Hashem. Hashem talks to us too. We're Naviim too. Moshe's not the only Navi. And Hashem says, hey, Miriam and Aaron, I want you to come to the Mishkan. I want to have a word with you. So they go to the Mishkan. And Hashem says, first of all, Moshe is the most humble and modest person in the entire universe. Moshe doesn't think he's so special. Moshe would never think he's better than anyone else. So how dare you say that about him? Number two, Hashem says, Moshe doesn't think he's better than everyone else, but he is. Yeah, you're also Nevi'im. Big deal. You guys and all the other Nevi'im, when I, Hashem, talk to you, I'll give you a dream and you have to figure out what your weird dream means, or I'll give you a few hints and you have to figure out from the hints and the clues like a riddle what Hashem means. But Moshe, I tell Moshe exactly what I mean in plain Hebrew. So I tell him everything I mean straight up. Moshe understands exactly what Hashem means. So how dare you talk about Moshe? You should be ashamed of yourselves for saying these things about Moshe. And when Hashem is finished yelling at Miriam and Aharon, Miriam has tzara'at. Remember that weird white skin condition? That is a message from Hashem. And Aaron says to Moshe, Moshe, I'm really sorry. We are both very sorry. We should not have been saying those things about you. We should not have been talking about you at all. We did the wrong thing. Please forgive us. Please pray to Hashem to make Miriam's tzara'at go away. And Moshe's like, of course I forgive you. And Moshe prays to Hashem and says, Hashem, please make Miriam's tzara'at go away. And Hashem says, no. Sometimes you do something wrong and you still have to face it. You say you're sorry, but you still have to face a consequence. Sorry isn't enough. Hashem says Miriam made a bad choice. She should not have done what she did. And yes, I'm glad you apologized, but she still has to face a consequence. The consequence is she has tzara'at, and she has to wait for 7 days before her tzara'at goes away and she can return to her home in the camp. So Miriam waits for 7 days. And in fact, all the Jewish people are so considerate that the people wait for Miriam for 7 days. And only after 7 days, when Miriam's tzara'at goes away and Miriam goes home, do the people continue traveling through the desert. And that is the end of Parshat Beha'alotcha. Shabbat Shalom.